today I want to talk to you about how to create Archaeogames in an academic setting. Last summer semester at the University of Cologne, so the summer semester of 2022, we created a joint course called That Belongs in a Museum, Creating Archaeogames from Idea to Release. And we choose that slogan of Indiana Jones because it kind of ironically reflects the tropes that are within the media depicting archaeology. We had over 40 participants, which is quite successful for a course in digital archaeology or archaeology in general. And the idea was not to talk about the games or to analyze games or different media, but to create these games and learn something in the process. We had two different focus or foci, depicting the past, so how is the past displayed in video games, and depicting archaeology, our profession, how are archaeologists displayed in these video games. And depicting the past is a topic that has been covered by many scholars so far, so Chapman, Reinhard, Mark Bonner on the German part have already researched a lot of it. Shannon Martino has done a very nice analysis of the depiction of the rulers in Civilization 6, for example, how biased these depictions are. I myself have analyzed the reconstructions in Civilization 6, for example, and where they draw their inspiration from. So there's a lot of research already going on, and we don't only have these bad examples of video games depicting the past, we also have good examples, like the Discovery Tour of Assassin's Creed, or a mobile game called Ancestors, the story of Atapuerca. Maybe some of you don't know this already, it's a very good game about prehistory. And on the other side, we have the depicting of archaeology, of our profession, and here also a lot of scholars have done tremendous work. And they always come back to the same result, that the depiction of archaeology is of course very stereotypical, right? And we are always like presented with these tropes of solving riddles, finding treasures, and for some reason destructing everything in the end. And in my own research, I've narrowed it down to like 8 main tropes in these video games, and I don't want to go through them because it's not the time and place for this, but as an example, the archaeologist always needs an overpowering enemy, right, to legitimize what he or she is doing and why he or she is acting in a way that might not be ethical. And again, also here we have good examples, not only bad examples, of video games like Heaven's Vault, for example, is a game that depicts archaeology in quite a nice way. So back to the course that we have given last semester. We have divided this into 3 parts. The first part was the concept phase and took about 4 weeks. And we built some groups, so we had 8 groups, student groups of 4 to 6 people, and these groups were mixed between students of archaeology, students of digital archaeology, and students of digital humanities, right? And we defined these groups and said to them, come up with a good game idea in the next 3 weeks, right? Of course, we gave them some introductory classes and introduced them into the topic, but basically it was their own idea to come up with something and present their idea in the 4th week. And the second phase was basically the rest of the lecture period in the summer semester. It's coming up with the beta version, right? So after 5 more weeks, we had a meeting for getting an interim status, so to see how far the groups have come, if they have stuck to their schedule that they've presented in the beginning, and if there are any problems that arose during the last couple of weeks. And the interesting thing about this was that many groups had the same problems, and they could solve the problems themselves by just talking about it, right? So while we're meeting in this interim status meeting, we didn't actually had a lot to do. The groups helped themselves because some of the groups have already solved the problems that came about and others didn't. And then we gave them 2 or 3 more weeks until the end of the lecture period, and they needed to present a beta version. So the beta version didn't have to be ready or finished or polished, but it has to be playable. We said to them that we want to use the game and we want to play a little bit in class. And we did, and everybody presented a 10-minute version of their beta version at the end of the lecture period. But in Germany, the end of the lecture period is not the end of the semester. Students have still to work a lot. So we gave them the lecture-free period of about another 8 weeks to finish the game and come up with an alpha version. So after 2 months or so, more or less, an alpha version was submitted, and we created a website where we could present the games and everybody can download them, play them themselves, and I invite you to do so, to have a look at these games. Some of them are in English, some of them are in German, but it's altogether a great joy. Before I hand over to my colleague Valentina, I just want to talk about the challenges that we conquered or encountered during the course. So for the archaeology students, I think it was a challenge to communicate the past of the profession of archaeology to a broader audience in another way, right? So it's not only about creating an exhibition or making a poster, it's about creating a game. And this medium of a game is something different because you can tell a different form of story, right? I think this was very, very helpful for them to do it this way. Also, what I learned is that it was not so easy to avoid stereotypes. Even they are students of archaeology and they know about the stereotypes, they always slipped into that back again, right? And we always have to make them aware of this, so they slipped out of this again. For the students of digital archaeology, I think it was very helpful to work in a bigger team than usual and to work interdisciplinary. So my experience is that students of archaeology and digital archaeology work a little bit different than students of digital humanities. There are different, let's say, concepts of work and how to approach things. But this was very helpful, and instead of creating 3D documentation in archaeology, they created 3D assets for games, which is also a different form of 3D modeling. And of course they learned a whole new way of how to simulate the past, or simulate our profession. We know this already in digital archaeology with agent-based modeling, of course, and this is something different, but it's also something similar. And to use a game engine to create a game is also very helpful in letting students approach this method. Okay, Valentina, I will hand over to my colleague.
Hello. So I can speak about the challenges and possibilities of the students of digital humanities. This project was very interesting, and the main challenge for them was the communication, of course. The communication between 2 institutes. They had to get the content of the archaeological students, so they had to speak to them. What can we do? What are our technical abilities? Because of course, some people have better skills than others, so they have to come together and to look at the time management, because they are students, they have other courses, and they have to come together to create a game which is playable. This was the main part. So the communication was, the main challenge, but also the creative difference, because of course the people of the Institute of Archaeology, they say like, we want a big game, but of course the people of the digital humanities, they say like, yeah, we don't have time for that. So they came together and had to create something good. And the possibilities for that is the learning opportunities. How can we cooperate with someone else? How can we get the content? How can we get these things together? How can this network be in a good way? So also the cooperation was a very nice possibility for them. But after that, they have also a thing to learn for their career, because they can say at the application or for the further studies, they can say like, okay, I was a project leader for a game, I was a main programmer for a game, or something like that. So they can talk about these things together and create a game. And in our experience, they did a really, really great job. And I want to show you 2 games now, because the time is not so... Oops, okay. Okay, so this is Robbing Goods. Robbing Goods is a game where you... Okay. Because he's playing, but it's not playing there. Okay, so we have to do it like this. Okay, I'm sorry. So Robbing Goods is a game where you play the spirit of, in that case, Nefertiti, and you are playing her to get the bust back to Egypt, because the bust is in Berlin, and you play that, and here you can see that why you're playing this. So they're taking site information, and this is really interesting, because while playing, you get site information. Why is this a problem? Why should we take the artifact back where it belonged to? So while playing a jump-around game, you get this information. So you can see they did the graphics, they did the programming, and they get the content. And they did a fun game. So this was for us very interesting to see. You can see you found the you found the bust, and now you get the bust back. So I think also the graphics is very, very nice. And now you can see why this is a problem. And the player can learn while playing. And it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to learn a lot. It's just like, okay, now I understand the problem of this. And here you can see, you can take it back in here. And there you can see like 100 years the bust is in Germany, since 100 years, and yeah, congratulations. But please play it by yourself. And this is exhibition. And here there are 3 rooms where you can do the same task as in the past. For example, here you are in Egypt, and in Egypt you have to clean the body. And then it says like, yeah, please take the water bottle, please take this, and you're learning how they worked in the past. So you take this and you use it on that body, and you can see also the graphics, they did this all by their own. So also the simulation, and also the content they got from the other institute. So this was very, very nice. And you can see there are a lot of tasks. So you have to click around, to move around, and to look, okay, what is in that other room, what is in that other room. So they did a very, very good job. Yeah. Wait, I'm almost done. And while playing this game, they said like, yeah, you have to do this task because you forgot the code how to get from the museum out, because yeah, you were closed in and you have to get the code. And to get the code, you had to do these tasks. So this is also like a nice game play and a game story. So from these 2, there are of course 6 different, more 6 games, so 8 groups in total. You can have a look here and here, like rediscover, and yeah, you can see also they have different kind of styles. It doesn't look always the same. So it's a 2D game or a 3D game, or a jump and run, or a simulation. So yeah, they have different kind of expression to tell their creativity. And you can find all of the games on Zenodo. Why did we choose Zenodo? Because Zenodo is for open science, and they go for the 4 principles: findability, accessibility, and interoperability, and reuse. So that's what we need in the university to find our data quickly. So just have a look, have fun while playing the game, and thank you.